Welcome back to the Affirm Opulence podcast, everybody. For episode 4, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the power of thought and how it can shape our reality.
Oh, I love this topic.
I know, right? Super fascinating.
Yeah.
We'll be exploring chapter 4 of Wallace Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich, where he really digs into this idea that thinking about something can actually bring it into existence.
Right.
Have you ever wondered if your thoughts could actually influence the world around you?
It's a powerful concept, isn't it? And
Yeah.
Wattles doesn't just throw it out there.
Right.
He provides a framework for understanding how thought becomes reality.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So what's the foundation of this framework?
Well, Wattles starts with the idea that there's an original formless substance from which all things are made.
Okay.
It's kind of like the raw material of the universe. But here's the interesting part. He believes this substance is actually thinking substance.
So everything we see, everything we experience, all started as a thought in this formless substance.
Exactly. And it's not just that it started as thought.
Okay.
It's that a thought held in this substance can actually create the form of that thought.
Wow.
Let me give you an analogy.
Okay.
Imagine you're thinking about a house.
Okay, I'm picturing it. A beautiful house with a big backyard and a porch swing.
Perfect. Now, obviously, just thinking about that house won't make it materialize in your backyard.
Definitely not, although that would be pretty amazing.
Right. It's not about instant manifestation.
Right.
What it does do is set certain energies and actions in motion.
Okay.
Thinking about the house might lead to sketching designs, researching neighborhoods,
Yeah.
talking to real estate agents, all the steps that could eventually lead to its construction.
So our thoughts are like the blueprints.
Yes.
And this formless substance is the raw material that takes shape based on those blueprints.
That's a great way to put it.
It's like we're co-creating with the universe.
And Wattles argues that for too long, we've been focused on manipulating existing forms with our hands, manual labor,
Right.
and haven't fully tapped into this power of co-creating with the formless intelligence through thought.
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
We get so caught up in the doing that we forget about the power of thinking.
exactly.
But if that's true,
Yeah.
doesn't that mean we could be unconsciously creating things we don't actually want
Yeah,
just by letting our thoughts run wild?
absolutely. And that's why Wattles emphasizes the importance of being deliberate about our thoughts.
Okay.
He distinguishes between two types of thinking. Thinking according to appearances and thinking truth, regardless of appearances.
Okay.
The first is easy.
Right.
The second is harder, but much more powerful.
Okay, break that down for me.
Sure.
What's the difference between those two types of thinking?
Thinking according to appearances is basically letting your thoughts be dictated by your circumstances. So if you're surrounded by sickness, you focus on the symptoms and the fear. If you're experiencing poverty, you dwell on lack and limitation.
Right.
But thinking truth, regardless of appearances, is about holding on to a different thought.
Yeah.
A thought that's aligned with what you desire, even when your external reality seems to contradict it.
So even if you're feeling sick,
Yeah,
you choose to focus your thoughts on the idea of being healthy.
exactly. It's about shifting your mental energy away from what you don't want and hold what you do want.
Okay.
It's like consciously choosing to plant a different seed in that formless substance.
This reminds me of the idea of affirmations.
Yes.
Are you saying that understanding this concept of thinking truth regardless of appearances is key to creating powerful affirmations?
You got it. Because affirmations aren't just positive statements we repeat mindlessly.
Right.
They're deliberate attempts to impress specific thoughts onto this formless substance
Okay.
to create the outcomes we desire.
Right.
They're about consciously choosing to think truth regardless of appearances.
Okay, that makes sense. But it's still a bit mind-boggling to think that our thoughts can actually have that kind of power.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we know it's really our thoughts creating reality and not just a bunch of coincidences?
That's a question a lot of people ask. But think about it this way.
Okay.
If you really believed that your thoughts had the power to shape your reality, wouldn't it change the way you approach everything in life?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd be a lot more careful about what I allow myself to think about.
Exactly. And that's why Wattles encourages us to experiment with this idea.
Okay.
He lays out 3 fundamental statements that form the foundation of his philosophy.
Okay.
There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made.
Uh-huh.
A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought.
Okay.
And man can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created.
Wow, those statements are really powerful when you think about them.
Yeah.
But how do we actually put these principles into practice when creating affirmations? Are there specific techniques we should be using?
Absolutely. First and foremost,
Yeah.
your affirmations should be rooted in the belief that there is this thinking substance, this formless intelligence
Very good.
that is constantly responding to your thoughts.
Okay.
Waddles emphasizes the need to lay aside all other concepts of the universe
Yeah.
and fully embrace this idea.
So it's not just about repeating positive phrases.
No?
It's about truly believing that those phrases have the power to create something real.
Yes. Your belief is what gives your affirmations power. And then when you create your affirmations,
Okay.
make sure they are stated in the present tense, as if what you desire is already happening.
So instead of saying, I want to be wealthy,
Yeah.
I would say, I am wealthy.
Exactly. You're impressing that thought of wealth onto the formless substance,
Okay.
and it will begin to respond accordingly. And remember,
Mhm.
focus on what you do want, not what you don't want.
Okay.
So instead of saying, I don't want to be poor,
Yeah.
you would say, I am abundant.
Got it. So it's about shifting our focus from lack to abundance,
Yeah,
from fear to faith.
exactly.
It sounds like retraining our minds to think in a completely new way.
It is. And when you repeat your affirmations,
Okay.
do so with feeling and conviction.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just mindlessly repeat them. Really feel the emotion behind the words.
Okay.
Like you already possess what you're affirming.
That makes sense. Putting real energy and emotion behind those words seems like it would amplify their power.
Exactly. That emotional energy is what really imprints the thought onto the formless substance.
But what about when doubts creep in?
Yeah,
It's hard to stay positive all the time.
right?
What do we do when those negative thoughts start to take over?
It's perfectly natural for doubts to arise.
Okay.
The key is to acknowledge them without judgment
Right.
and gently redirect your focus back to your affirmations.
Okay.
It's like training a muscle. The more you practice aligning your thoughts with what you desire,
Right.
the stronger that mental muscle becomes.
This is all so incredibly empowering. It's like we have this untapped potential within us
Yeah,
to create the life we want just by changing the way we think.
exactly. And Waddles gives us the roadmap for doing just that.
So for our listeners who are ready to start putting these principles into practice
Yeah.
and creating their own powerful affirmations,
hmm
what's a good first step they can take?
I would suggest starting with something small and specific.
Okay.
Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight.
Right.
Choose one area where you want to see improvement and create an affirmation that aligns with that desire. For instance, if someone is struggling with confidence,
Mm-hmm.
they might create an affirmation like, I am confident and capable in all that I do.
And they should repeat that affirmation several times a day,
Yes.
really feeling the truth of it.
Yes. And then start looking for evidence of that confidence manifesting in their life. It could be something small at first, like speaking up in a meeting or trying something new.
And as they see those small wins,
Yes.
their belief in the power of affirmations will grow stronger.
Precisely. And as their belief grows,
Mhm.
so too will their ability to manifest even bigger and bolder desires.
This is such an inspiring message.
Yeah.
It's like Waddles is saying, hey, you have the power to create the life you want. It all starts with your thoughts.
Exactly. And the more you align your thoughts with the truth of abundance,
Right.
the more you will attract that abundance into your life.
What I find so fascinating is that these principles apply to any area of life,
Absolutely.
whether it's wealth,
Mm-hmm.
health, relationships, or career success.
Right.
It all starts with our thoughts.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to understanding the power of thought
Mm-hmm.
and learning how to harness that power to create the life we desire.
Absolutely. The principles are universal.
Right.
It's about understanding that we are co-creators with the universe. Mm-hmm.
And our thoughts are the tools we use to shape our reality.
Well said. I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today. So as we start to wrap up our deep dive today,
Okay.
I want to circle back to the idea of affirmations
Mm-hmm.
and how they can help us tap into this creative power of thought.
Right.
We've been talking about thinking truth, regardless of appearances.
Yeah.
How does that tie into crafting effective affirmations?
It's about aligning our thoughts with the reality we want to experience,
Right.
even if our current circumstances don't reflect that reality yet.
Okay.
Remember, affirmations are more than just wishful thinking. They're a deliberate way to impress our desires onto that formless substance.
So if I'm struggling financially,
Yeah.
but I create an affirmation that says, I am financially abundant, I'm essentially choosing to focus on the truth of abundance, even if my bank account isn't showing it yet.
Precisely. You're shifting your mental energy from lack to abundance.
Right.
And planting that seed in the formless substance.
It's about declaring the truth of what you want to create.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like we're taking control of our thoughts and in turn taking control of our destinies.
Right.
It's incredibly empowering.
It is. And the more we practice this,
Okay.
the more we strengthen our mastermind,
Right.
our ability to think truth regardless of appearances.
That's right. We didn't get to dive too deep into the concept of the mastermind earlier,
Yeah.
but it's a fascinating idea. Can you give us a quick rundown of what Waddles means by that?
Essentially, the mastermind is that part of us that can tack into the formless substance and shape reality through thought. It's the part of us that's not limited by our current circumstances or beliefs.
So the more we practice creating and using affirmations,
Yes.
the more we're strengthening our mastermind and our ability to create the life we want.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that this power is available to everyone.
Right.
It's not about some special gift or talent. It's about understanding these principles and putting them into practice.
This has been such an enlightening conversation.
Yeah, it really has.
I feel like I have a whole new understanding of the power of thought and how I can use it to create the life I desire.
Wonderful.
Any final words of wisdom for our listeners as they embark on their own journey to opulence?
Remember, you are a powerful creator. Your thoughts are seeds that have the potential to blossom into your reality.
Right.
Choose your thoughts wisely.
Right.
Nurture them with belief and watch as your world transforms.
Beautifully said. And for our listeners, we encourage you to dive deeper into the science of getting rich
Definitely.
and continue exploring the amazing power of your own mind. Until next time, keep those affirmations flowing.
Absolutely.
Watch the magic unfold.